Time now for the Educated Retirement Show with your host, Jay Kaplan. Jay discusses reverse mortgages and can answer your questions at 951-922-3532. Call lines are open at 951-922-3532. And now, here's Jay.
Well, good afternoon. All lines are open. I think one may be open. I mean, I know everybody's calling in, but I wish you would. And if you hate reverse mortgages, those are the people I really want you to call in. Or if you have any questions at all, call in. That's what this show is kind of for. Call in. Anyway, welcome to the Educated Retirement Radio here on KMET. 1490 AM, where we contemplate retirement and how to best stay prepared for, how to best stay retired successfully and how to best prepare for retirement. Remember, you absolutely must meet your retirement needs before, that is, set it up. You don't know whether you're going to make it until you've gone through it. But, you know, the best way to get to Las Vegas is to top off your tank, okay? You should make it all the way there without having to refill. And that's what we want to do. Now, and when we get older at this age, I'm not sure where we're going. Some people say up, some people say down. A lot of people say I'm taking the escalator down, but, you know, I don't think so. But, you know, please email or visit drheckham.com or the name of this radio show, which is the Educated Retirement Radio. And here is my visual aid. There we go. See that? drhecm.com, and that stands for Home Equity Conversion Mortgage. Why is it called conversion? Because it doesn't mean you're taking the money. The most you could take is about 50%, and that's if you didn't already owe something. It goes to pay off, that 50%-ish goes to pay off what you owe, and then if you have more left over, you can have it, or if you don't need it, it goes into a line of credit that continues to grow all the time. Now, here's my phone number. This is the hotline for Bigfoot, UFOs, and reverse mortgages. 866-955-2233, 866-955-2233. So you are now armed to take care of your best future, or at least to know about it, because I'm just here for education, or education number one. The show is for education. The invitations for calls and to look me up is for education. You want to do something besides that? We'd talk about that at the time. But remember, the future is now, as Hudsucker would put it. Knowledge is power. 866-955-2233. And when you're on the website, slide down a little bit to that. There's a couple of really good links there. One is to the show. One is to YouTube, where I've got all the old shows, and I've got them split up as to just my jokes or my, you know, nostalgia stuff, and a separate, and they're listed separately. That is, those part of the video items for the guests are separate, and I use separate kind of separate kind of editing program for that, which I got from Phil Walker, and he borrowed it from Disney. So we're in good hands, except I don't know nearly as much as he does, and the people over at Disney know a whole lot more than the rest of us. But I find it a lot of fun to do editing. It's kind of like building something. It's artistic in its own way. So my day job, I got a day job. It's at a lending company called The Loan Source. My NMLS number, which is my National Mortgage License Service number, is 384565. And Department of Real Estate I just I haven't looked at my real estate license in a while, so I see that it needs renewal next year. So now when it renews, I just pay the state. I don't have to take any classes because I've been in good standing. Nobody has even complained about me, not even the way I look, in 30 years. So I don't need to take any tests or anything. I do not sell real estate. I don't want to sell real estate. I want to be a guru for reverse mortgages, but I want to know what's going on. And another quick shout out to Daryl McCants, who does recognize this show on each of his shows, as well as he puts me on his advisory board, along with Bill Morris of UCI, who has been on my show. And reminds me, I need to call Bill or connect with him this weekend or this coming week. And he teaches entrepreneurship at UCI. He's done a TED Talk, so he's big time. All I do is J Talk, not a... So, as long as we're doing shout outs, let me, Kathleen is the director of the show. I'm supposed to be the producer. We have a good friend, and that good friend is someone I've done a loan for a couple of times, and they live up near Paso Robles in a really beautiful area. But what she does, one thing she does, could you kind of hand these to me one at a time? She makes her own cards, and they are amazing. Now I'm not gonna tell you how to get a hold of her because I don't want everybody calling her unless she wants it. So I may have her on the show if she wants to kind of explain how she does these. But it's Gail is her name. That's enough to say, right? I can even say Gail Maxwell without giving away too much. Here's a card we got. And this special occasion for this card was just I asked her for some information on her current loan to see if we could refinance it. Because like here, she gets, a million letters in the mail and phone calls. And, right now we can't really do it. So don't pay attention to all those letters you get. Those people don't know whether they can do something for you or not. Now, the inside of it, and I'll just show you a little bit here. This side, of course, has a note to us, but see how great that is?
She makes that by hand.
And she does all of this by hand. Hello there is another. Was this for any special occasion? Oh, happy birthday. Okay. See that? That's, and it's three-dimensional. If it doesn't show up on radio. And, here's a Christmas card. Wow. Look at this one. Gail, are you watching the show? Or are you watching it on Facebook? In any case, say hello if you are. If not, I'll be sure and send this to you. And what's this one for? Oh, this is another happy birthday. Because my wife and I have happy birthdays. And they are happy. Happy to be alive, etc. And so there's the other one. I'm taking this one as probably hers. And, a little bit bigger one. Oh, anything on the inside? You might take a quick look. No. Okay, this one's obvious. Thanksgiving. And again, these are all very three-dimensional. Just a couple more. This is a great one. Sorry to hear you are under the weather. And, I have been under the weather, but the weather is certainly getting better. Look at those hunts, or dogs. I would call them dogs. Bruce would still refer to them as hunts. But, wow. Now this probably goes, here's another birthday one. I guess I'm getting older faster than I thought. And the last one we'll show you for today is another happy birthday one. God, these are nice. So, and I'm sure we'll probably find more in here. Her cards are cards we never, ever throw away. So there. Thank you, Gail. So today is National Dance Like a Chicken Day. Let me see if I can. And I wish I had some rubber chickens like Svengoolie. Oh, what's on Svengoolie tomorrow, Kathleen? Do you remember? Oh, Fiend Without a Face is on Svengoolie tomorrow. It's almost a masterpiece. It is really one of the good ones. He's had. Oh, here's leftovers from last night. But this is chicken. I don't know if we can see that without it sliding off the. Okay, there's chicken. But Dance Like a Chicken Day encourages everyone to dance like a chicken. This day is from start to finish with people flapping with their arms and strutting chicken-like. In the 1950s, Swiss accordionist Werner Thomas wrote the chicken dance, which is usually associated with polkas, and is suggested that the song was written for a drinking song for Oktoberfest, but we don't know that for sure, but it sounds very reasonable. It didn't arrive in America till the late 70s. So dance like a chicken, be silly, and serve chicken nuggets, fried chicken, or chicken fried steak. I love chicken fried steak. How about you? Sean, I don't like to interrupt you unless it's something really important, but chicken fried steak is that important.
Oh yeah, love that. I love the gravy too.
Oh yeah, perfect. That's great. It's also National Buttermilk Biscuit Day, which you can have with your chicken fried steak. So this is also
another thing to put gravy on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also referred to as hardtack, and I like that word, hardtack. You hear that a lot in Western movies. First appeared in the U.S. in the early 19th century, and many times is served with gravy instead of butter and jam. It's served with everything. Celebrate by serving them as a dumpling in your favorite soup or with meat and gravy and mashed potatoes. Yeah, who cares about an overload of starch? Some restaurants will have an all biscuit menu for Buttermilk Biscuit Day. I haven't noticed that, but keep a lookout. Also, International Astronomy Day, and I think you know probably that one of my hobbies is astronomy, and I've got this, what is it, a 12-inch Schmidt Cassegrain in the garage ready to roll out, but I used to have an 8-inch, which we used all the time, and then went to the 12, and all of a sudden, as I'm getting older, the 12 is awfully large, so if you're interested in astronomy, let me know. I can use some help with that 12-inch. This event was started in 1973 by Doug Berger, the president of the Astronomical Association of Northern California. His intent was to set up various telescopes in busy urban locations. Of course, there's more lights in urban locations. But anyway, so that passersby could enjoy the view of the heavens. I remember we did a UFO crash site in downtown Anaheim several years ago, and I had the telescope set up pointed at Saturn. And more than half of the people accused me of having a picture lit up at the other end of the tube. But no, they were actually looking at Saturn with the rings. Really a beautiful sight.
We had an alien autopsy.
Yeah, we had another. Yeah, we had a. Was that the same time or no? Okay, and then we were showing the fake alien autopsy film. Rolling it over and over. But I remember also spending $1 at the Café du Monde in New Orleans to look through somebody else's telescope. So that's pretty cool. So if we need some money, set up your I guess I could do that with this, but I may need help with that 12-inch. Anyway, since then, the event has expanded and is sponsored by a number of organizations associated with astronomy. And as long as we're talking about astronomy, why don't we bring in, is NASA Nellie close enough? Has she taken off yet? Because I think we have just about enough time. There she comes before the break for NASA Nellie to do her thing. So take it away, NASA Nellie.
The Emilsian alien abduction. May 10th of 1978, in the quiet village of Emilsian, Poland, farmer 71-year-old Jan Wolski was out driving a horse-drawn cart near his property when he said he was jumped by two short green humanoid entities with webbed hands and about 5 feet tall. The beings jumped into his cart and sat next to him and started to speak in a strange language. He said they were talking in phrases. I didn't understand any of it. He drove his cart with the two beings aboard to where he said a large object about the size of a bus was hovering. He said, I tied the horse and then got off and went after them toward that machine. The object was all white with no notable features and generated a humming noise. An elevator-like platform attached to the craft descended to the ground. Jan said that he was taken aboard the ship with two other beings. The interior was described as black with a grayish tint similar to the creature's outfits. He claimed that he was then examined with a tool that the exam, the beings then ate and offered him something like, but he refused. Wolski returned home to his family and notified them of what had just happened, them to come to see the floating object. He notified his sons, who called to the other neighbors, and together they went to investigate the site. The grass where the craft had been was trampled down. His sons claimed that there were even footprints left behind. There were witnesses that claimed they had seen a bus-like craft hover over a barn, then climbed into the air and then vanished. The aftermath for the family was unfortunate, as shortly thereafter, several family members fell ill. One of his sons died under mysterious circumstances and was found dead in a nearby forest. An odd memorial was constructed in Emilsian in 2005 to commemorate the alien abduction of Jan Wolski, very reminiscent of the monolith from Stanley Kubrick's 2001, A Space Odyssey. This structure has a huge metal cube balanced on the top of a pillar, commemorating an alien abduction that whisked away a local farmer in a UFO for an exam and lunch. And it reads, on the 10th of May, 1978, in Emilsian, a UFO object landed. The truth will astonish us in the future. The idea for it came from the Nautilus Foundation, which examines bizarre events, such as the one in this village, with the support of local authorities. Every year in May, believers get around it and say phrases like, I can feel the energy. Also very odd is a time capsule buried next to the monument to be opened in the year 3011.
Wow, 3011?
Yeah.
Do you plan on being there for that?
No.
I do, but I don't think it's going to happen. Anyway, thank you, NASA Nellie. Let's wait and see if we can hear her rockets take off. There they go. And by the way, I think I've told you before that speaking of shout-outs, another client was a client, now a close friend, and I'm talking about both father and son, who we went to lunch with because we are doing his one. He can get more savings and things and more in a higher line of credit. Anyway, thank you to those guys, Danny and Danny. One Danny is about to turn 92, I believe, in about 2 weeks, maybe a little bit less. So let me say happy birthday, Danny. Very, very, and I should only be at 82 as sharp as he is at 92. Anyway, I think we are approaching our break time, so we'll let it go back to Sean. And please don't go away. We've got a lot of things to go over before we're done. So take care and talk to you in a couple of minutes. some beautiful music going for us. So now that we're taking a little bit of a sidetrack of things we normally do, you know, I watch about 6 different people on the YouTube channels. Go ahead, bring over the little ones. And, you know, for the vinyl community. So what I thought I would do is maybe I'll have my local vinyl guy on the show, but I'll go ahead and show you a couple of new records that I got, even though my amplifier burned up last week. But one thing at a time, I'm still buying records. These are Sam records from, where are they from? They're from France. Small label, great job, Nathan Davis Sextet. With Nathan Davis, Woody Shaw. Wow, what a story there is about Woody Shaw, but we'll leave that off for now. Kenny Clark, a whole bunch of things. Anyway, great. And it comes with some great pictures, which I would have ready for you if I knew I was going to do this. But then all of a sudden I decided, let's do this. So Live in Paris, 1965, Art Blakey, Freddie Hubbard, Nathan Davis again, Reggie Workman and Jackie Bard. I mean, these are audiophile records, but I buy them because not only because they sound great, but it's the music, and it's the music I love. And do I love classical music also? I do. And a lot of pop music, especially from the 90s, and again, new pop music I like quite a bit. Now we got another one here, and another thing these guys do is unboxing. So we're going to unbox a record we bought. You should do this because it's okay. Now I think this may have been purchased more for the picture than anything else. Okay, this is a live concert 3-record set, and yeah, how do I get into this? Open that up, please. Let me see. And this is when you watch live unboxings, you do the same thing. You tell these people, why don't you get a razor or something? And, well, I don't have one handy. And is this coming off? Nope. You know what? We may have to do this later because I can't get this off. I think I got it now. I think.
Want me to start it?
I'm getting exasperated. Yeah, I got it kind of started right there. But remember the hype sticker. Okay, don't throw away the hype sticker. You got it? Because if not, we can do it later. This is what live television and live... This is probably why they don't do too many live shows anymore. Except the late night. You can take all that off. Okay. All right. Now, this is one thing record collectors always save. It's called the hype sticker. See that? That's the hype sticker. That'll be saved on the inside. And then, of course, we've got this. And we'll open the box if we can. Okay, and of course there's the cover. We've got then a piece of plastic, and we have a booklet that is, this is a live concert from England, see there, and recorded live December 10th, 2007 in the O2 Arena in London. So there we go. There's somebody into his sticks. See if I can just get another one out here pretty quickly. Clunk. There you go. And I don't know if you can find another picture that's... But this is something that's really cool. Look at this. Usually you have to put things upside down or whatever, but this has got like a pull thingy. So let me pull that up, and I think what we'll find is one. Okay, so they have the records separate right now, but here it says LP LP1, and then the record's heavy. It's 180 grams. So good times, bad times, on and on and on. But there are 3 of these, and I'm looking forward to getting an amplifier that doesn't burn up, and we can play those. So there. And as long as we're getting into facts, I'm going to repeat something I've repeated a couple times, and until March was the hottest month in housing history, with 43% selling over the listing price. And, if you sell over the listing price, if the appraisal doesn't come in, which of course it may not, because, this is supply and demand, people have to come up with cash for the difference, because it's going to be a larger down payment. So 46% of all listings are sold in 1 week or less. I guess that's good news. I had 2 of my neighbors sell, and it sold really fast. I thought they were just trying to get away from me, but I guess it's because it's a hot market. So, it's about millennials that decided we're going to go do this now, not later, and good for them. The sooner they get on the bandwagon, or as when I used to go and sell real estate, which I actually did for 2 years, way back in the late 70s. Yeah. Anyway, that was what it was all about. I used to take people all over the place, and they'd usually buy something, but they're still buying. We're here on this program. We believe in challenging the status quo. We believe that families and people need to be active, and they don't get much by just hanging around and being reactive. So I'm going to be active and taking some more coffee, because I'm a coffee freak. And what did we learn the other day? That coffee is good to fight off Alzheimer's. Yeah. And to go back to music, which I always do, and I got to get this guy on the show. He is a doctor, a hearing, I don't know what they hear, hearing, eye, nose, throat, whatever, but he taught me that if I listen to loud music, like we're going to do with that Led Zeppelin, he said, as you grow older, keep listening to it loud. If you tell your brain that you are slowing down, the brain will, in fact, follow your lead and slow down. So if you live in an apartment or you're anything in a condo and somebody is yelling and complaining about you making too much music, you're playing too loud, you tell them that it's a medical thing. It's a prescription to keep you from having Alzheimer's. Now, whose birthday is it today? It's the birthday of George Lucas. And he was born in 1944, which makes him 2 years older than me. So here's to you, George. American film director, producer, and screenwriter, George was born and raised in Modesto, California. Growing up, he was interested in comics. Who isn't? Well, maybe there's some weirdos that aren't. Science fiction and television serial. His favorite was Flash Gordon. Now, I've got all these serials, by the way. What is it? Radar Men from the Moon, which is not Flash Gordon, is with Spock in it. Leonard Nimoy has a bit. Actually, he's in it quite a bit.
Zombies from the Stratosphere.
Zombies from the Stratosphere, and of course several Flash Gordon serials. So I do enjoy those. We take those with us a lot of times if we go on a vacation or something too. So in high school, he wanted to be a race car driver and would race on the underground circuit at fairgrounds and hanging out at garages. You can come hang out in my garage, but that's as far as it goes. We can look at the telescope. A few days before his high school graduation, Lucas was driving his souped up, now forgive me if I'm not, we don't have a picture of this, do we? Damn. Anyway, this is a really strange looking car. It kind of looks like an American Motors Metropolitan, if you know, and those are something most people do know what they like. But this one is an Auto Bianchi. an Auto Bianchini. I know an Auto Bianchina. Maybe that's the small one, China. Anyway, when another driver broadsided him, flipping his car several times before he crashed into a tree, his seatbelt snapped, letting him go, which saved his life. So much for seatbelts, I guess. Well, in any case, most of the time it does save your life. His lungs were bruised from severe hemorrhaging and required medical treatment. This caused him to lose interest in racing as a career. See, what a weak guy he was. He really wasn't into it like he tried to make us believe, but that's okay. His father owned a stationery store and had wanted George to work for him when he turned 18. Lucas had planned to go to art school. He began shooting his own movies with an 8mm camera. He and so many people do this. Doesn't say whether it's Super 8 or not. This guy born in 1944, probably not a Super 8. He and his friend became interested in Canyon Cinema, and Canyon Cinema was an exhibition outlet for independent motion picture film with screenings of films from underground and avant-garde 16mm filmmakers. His cinema career began in 1960 as a filmmaker, cooperative with films projected onto an Army surplus screen from the kitchen window as a community-oriented venue for films by neighbors. Later spun off San Francisco Cinematheque in 1975, and of course the American Cinematheque is still up and running and strong. And we used to go to a lot of those at the Egyptian Theater, also at the Aero Theater, but we used to go to the Egyptian Theater. It's closer, this side of LA instead of that side of LA. And hopefully that'll get up and running again here soon. So Lucas went to USC School of Cinema Arts. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we say that Spielberg was rejected and wasn't accepted there, and became good friends with Steven Spielberg in any case? He was interested in camera work and editing as a filmmaker and made abstract visual films. In 1969, Lucas co-founded the studio American Zoetrope with Francis Ford Coppola. They produced THX 1138, and as you all know, probably here, that was the license plate on American Graffiti. What do I have there?
Movie.
Oh, the movie. All right. Here is the DVD for THX 1138. Is there a different picture on the inside? Not really. Okay. In case you don't know, but you probably do know what our man here looks like. There he blows. There he is. George, much younger, fully bearded, but younger. And here he is with Spielberg. One USC accepted person and a USC rejected person. As far as directors go, I'll take the rejected person. I think Spielberg's a genius. I think Lucas is too, but in other ways. Okay. So THX 1138 was the first full-length. Get my glasses back on. I got caught on my ear flaps, which was not necessarily declared a large hit. Lucas went on to creating his own company, Lucasfilm Limited, and directed American Graffiti in 1973. And I often get mixed up who the Fonz was. I sometimes like to think of it as Harrison Ford, but I'm not sure about that. But of course, Harrison Ford played a large part in this, which I'm sure led him to other roles with Spielberg and Lucas. So American Graffiti was 1973, when he was unable to retain, or jump on the rights to Flash Gordon for an adventure film that he wanted to write. It led him to write an original space adventure that would eventually become Star Wars. And do we have, well, I think I've shown you plenty of Star Wars before. Oh, here we go. Here is Return of the Jedi. This is number 2, right?
Yeah.
Number 2 is my favorite still. By far. No, this is number 3. Sorry about that. Yeah, this is number 2. This is my favorite. And Mark Hamill, of course, is on TV now all the time, getting food delivered to him on commercials, but so be it. Star Wars was influenced by samurai films of Akira Kurosawa, who we know worked as second director and other things like that, with Honda on the Godzilla type movies. So we talked about that last week. And Star Wars became the highest grossing film of all time until 5 years later it was topped by Spielberg's E.T. the Extraterrestrial. So short list for Lucasfilms, THX 1138, 1971, which he wrote and directed. American Graffiti, 1973, written and directed by he. Star Wars, 1977, produced, wrote, and directed. The Empire Strikes Back. Oh, a friend of mine, Dennis, who does reverse mortgages in the Fresno area, I remember he delivered a copy to some financiers, I believe it was, of Star Wars to England back when. But anyway, thank you, Dennis, for doing that. The Empire Strikes Back, 1980, and produced lots of sequels. Raiders of the Lost Ark was 1981, and that too produced a lot of, what do you call it, sequels. Now here we've got Spielberg doing the directing, and therefore these were wonderful. Now the Crystal Skull one, I think he was getting tired of it. Here's a later one, The Last Crusade. I love that one too. And I think most people did. The Temple of Doom, where Spielberg met his wife, and that has lasted a very long time. So good for them. And that was, what's her name? Kate Capshaw, which I thought she was very funny in it. I thought she was very good. So be it. He also did some other films, like, who did this one? Who's he?
George Lucas, executive producer.
Okay, so he didn't do this, but he was executive producer for these. Who did this? Let's see. I think it's somebody I know that I just slipped off of my... directed by Ron Howard. So there's your connection between American Graffiti and the TV show Happy Times, or whatever the heck it was. Anyway, there you go. George produced over 57 films and directed 6 of them. So I just want to take a minute out to remind us that I have been talking about my show with Ron Siegel. You know what? You should be watching Ron Siegel, I think, and listening. Sean, when is Ron on again? Because when I listen to Ron, it's usually in the morning, but...
He's on at 6 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday, so he's much more predictable than me, we only hope I show up on Fridays. But he's there all night. Pat, let me say hello to Pat on Facebook. So we always talk about how a Heckam can, bring you cash if you need it. But if you don't need the cash, you might find out if what's available, get some, and buy a rental property or go into business with your son or daughter or whatever. You know what that does? I'll tell you what it does. It greatly increases the value of your family and the value of your legacy that you're going to leave when you go up or down, whichever way the escalator, as we talked earlier, goes. Just a reminder, you are listening to the Educated Retirement Radio here on your home planet, KMET, AM radio, the mighty Met. And be sure, remember, you call me at 866-955-2233, 866-955-2233. And we've got some more birthdays to go, that is for sure, and some really other good stuff. But I thought I might jump over here if I can scroll down fast enough. Keep scrolling, Jay. Come on now. Oh. To bring up a couple other things here real quickly. And we talked about what a huge seller's market this is. And again, it has to do with supply and demand. Other than those two neighbors of mine that just had to get away from me, and I can't blame them, can you? And the increase in real estate sales. You remember back in March and April of last year? I got sick in May, so I was still cognizant in March and April. And when we started looking at this COVID scare, we thought that was the end of it. We thought our economy was going way down. Well, you know what? The economy has really hurt a lot of people. Overall for the country, no. The economy is still going gangbusters overall. But there are too many people without a job. Now, there's a lot of jobs available right now, so if you're looking for a job, now might be the time. But a lot of people really got hurt. People in my industry did not get hurt because of the rush on buying real estate and the low interest rates that came out of all of this. But a lot of people did get hurt. But a lot of people who weren't hurt decided now it's time to get into a better home. If I got to be sitting here in this apartment with the kids screaming and the dog that needs to take a walk with no yard, and I've got to work here 8 hours a day or 10 hours or whatever, I want to be in a better place. Not a bad reason for that to happen. So in many ways, the pandemic has driven the home buying craze. So this has been an accelerant to lifestyle and accelerant. That's a nice word, big for me, but I got it out. So, these changes are always underway. It's a continuous thing as the millennials or whatever, Generation X before them, the old people like me before that. But the pandemic just, though, seems to have nudged the timeline forward for many of those in the millennial, and I'm sure Generation X, which are the older ones. Some of those people in their 50s, early 60s were still renting or still had a smaller home and decided, they were in a business that was doing well. So it was a good time to move up. What do I think of values in the future? I think they're going to continue. Okay. I really do. And I know in 2008 we had a different situation. In 2008, the bottom fell out because it just seemed we had lower interest rates. Everybody was buying, but they weren't buying because they really, really wanted to. This time, I think people are buying because they really, really want to. And I'd like to have people like Saeed and maybe Ron come on the show and we can discuss that a whole bunch further. But, this really accelerated things. And because of that, we have a real supply and demand situation. And although things will level out, they may come down a little, but I would not be looking at any kind of a crash with prices in the near future. So if you want to buy something, if you're looking at all, do it now. And if you have a place you love and you want to stay in, of course, let me wave at Louie Lou here. This is the time maybe to refinance Refinance doesn't always mean taking money out and owing more. It doesn't mean you're using your home as a credit card. It means that you are lowering your payment. And if you lower your payment, you can still keep your higher one and get things paid off quicker. Which reminds me of something I've been wanting to say on the show, but just haven't. There is so much advertising for this super low interest rate for a 15-year loan. I consider a 15-year loan a sucker's bet. I have got to tell you, I think most of those lenders look at it the same way. They're going to think if you take out a 15-year loan now, in a couple of years, you're going to want your 30-year loan back. So they've got you built in for 2 loans. The thing is, what you actually pay over the years is the interest rate, the number on that interest rate. And let's just take 3 as an example. If you can get a 15-year at 2.5, you have to make those higher payments. It's not, the rate is lower, but the amortization period is so much higher. You've got a much larger payment. So if you want to, take the 30-year loan and make the payment that's due for 2.5. If you make it at 2, now you've beat your 15-year loan, and you don't have to make the larger payment. And that's what I'm going to recommend. You stay control over the payment, and you can make it faster or slower than a 15 years. So that's what I recommend that everyone do. So I would hope that people heed that, or if they have questions, let's get that out there. And one more thing before we give it back to Sean. Sean, you are looking to be taking it back, correct? And, I got some time yet. So, here's the problem that Bigfoot is looking at right now. The price of lumber has gone up 216% in 1 year. That's called inflation. Luckily, we don't see inflation across the board, although I'm told groceries are seeing some inflation. But overall, we're not having a huge inflation problem. So anyway, that means more lumber has to be cut down, and Bigfoot's going to be looking for a place to live. And I don't know that I have enough room for Bigfoot over here. But, do you believe that there is hey, I think I asked you, Sean, once before. You believe Bigfoot exists?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so do I. I mean, there's just been too many sightings. But in any case, we were only talking about Bigfoot in relationship to the price of lumber. So that means that prices, if nothing else, especially on new homes, and if new homes go up, the others will follow. It's just one more reason why you should buy now. So I think you should buy now. And, which brings me directly to the fact that the real enemy of retirement is compounding inflation. And we don't have that right now, but we could. So the real enemy of retirement is not alone. It's compounding inflation, and it's health care also. Protect yourself with that, with a growing line of credit that your HECM will provide you. Your reverse or HECM will give you a hedge against rising interest rates, because if rates go up, your line of credit goes up accordingly. And if values go down, your mortgage will protect you there too, because the line of credit never has anything to do with the value of the property, and your property will never be upside down. And some properties were in 08, beginning of 09, but they always came around. Which brings us back to our what we said at upfront. Absolutely meet your requirement needs. Top off your tank to make it all the way. And where were we going? We were going to Las Vegas, which we still can do. So have yourself, unless you're going to Las Vegas, don't lose too much money. But other than that, have yourself a great weekend. We are not going away. We will be here, okay? In just a few minutes after the break, So take care of yourself and be thinking about those money issues we were just talking about. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.